Hello everyone, I am Brady Bridges and I'm the broker and owner of Reside Real Estate here in Fort Worth, Texas. I want to welcome you to another episode of Real Talk with Reside Real Estate. We are a top producing team here in Fort Worth, Texas, and we want this podcast to be a resource for anyone looking to learn more about real estate and the great city of Fort Worth, Texas.
Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Reside Real Estate. Today I'm joined by Christian Fussell. Christian spent his early years moving around Texas before landing in Midlothian to finish out high school. He originally pursued a full-time vocational ministry career and spent several years on staff at a local church before making the switch over to real estate, getting his license in September of 2019. Christian, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks, man. I respect and appreciate the little deep dive and digging that you had there. Those are all hidden.
Those are there on the website, y'all's website there. So
that was it.
You didn't send us anything.
I respect that. I did not. I love that.
So kind of go into more detail kind of about yourself and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, man. So I born and raised in Texas. As you mentioned, I went to a small little private Christian college. Had the full thought of going into vocational ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was even on staff for a little bit as a youth pastor down in Red Oak, Texas. Once that ended, I kind of found myself in this like weird spot where I thought that's all I would ever do was church and pastor and be a youth pastor. So once that ended, my perspective, my world was kind of flipped into 180. And I was like, what the heck do I do? And so I started working for a coffee shop, White Rhino, which they have one now, of course. I was working the Waxahachie one. The owner of it and I got to be friends, and he's like businessman, entrepreneur over in Dallas. And he's an attorney. He also owned a real estate brokerage at the time. So I was like, hey, I would love just to like pick your brain on business. And when I said business, I was like, I don't even know what this means.
Yeah.
Business to me was like just somehow making money. and my dad, my whole life, owned like a 18-wheeler trucking company.
Okay.
So he sold trucks and trailers. So I was around business, for at that point I was 22, 23 years. And so I was like, hey man, I want to learn about business. And so Chris is the guy's name. Chris and I go to dinner, and I was like I brought like a notepad. I remember I was so young. I brought a notepad. I was like taking notes during lunch, and I fully had the intentions of going in just from a YouTube video I watched on being like, hey, I want to do property management, which now, as you and I both know, you're like, hell no, I'm never doing that. And so
I had Zach in here like early on, and I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. I don't either. But that was like what I knew of real estate. And he was like, hey man, I think you should do real estate. Like, he's like, I can help you do property management, but I think you should be a real estate agent. He's like, it's great money, and as well, it's kind of an extension of what you were doing before, serving people. So honestly, if you would have told me to be a firefighter, I would have freaking been a firefighter right there in that moment. And so I went and got my license. That was 2019. So it took me 6 months. I failed my exam twice, passed on the third time, and that was at the very end of 2019.
Okay.
And so around like November, December of 2019 is when I got my license. So I say, and I'm still working at the coffee shop. So I say full-time, I've been doing this since 2020.
Okay.
So great year to jump into it.
Yeah.
I guess.
I thought you'd be a good person to talk to because obviously you kind of do some crazy things to your clients, and I feel like you're pretty well known around Fort Worth and just in the real estate community of you kind of take a deeper dive into the relational side of real estate, right? There's a lot of people that just look at this as a transaction. There's a lot of agents that were able to do business the past couple of years just because you could answer your phone and sell a house.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons I wanted you to come on. So where are you typically working? Where are most of your clients? I know you're over at Dallas today showing houses. So what areas are you typically serving here in the market?
In DFW, yeah. I'm at the point still in my career where I say yes to anything, to be honest with you. So I have obviously born and raised in Midlothian, so like Ellis County. I've lived here since October of 2020 in Fort Worth. And then Dallas, I just have friends up in that like Richardson, North Dallas area. The furthest I've ever gone, I'm not sure the furthest you've ever gone. Furthest I've ever gone is like up near Farmersville.
Okay.
Which is too far. If you ever even heard of it, way too
No,
far.
Erica, who she lives out there.
Oh, she does. Hey, golly, it's a long drive. Yeah, so that's the furthest I've ever gone. Predominantly, it's in Fort Worth. How percentage-wise, I looked at my business last year. It was 75% Fort Worth, and I think it was like 15% Dallas, and then 10% Midlothian, Waxahachie, Ellis County area. So typically it's over here. I personally live over on the west side off Camp Bowie. I live in Arlington Heights. Just bought a house over there.
Yeah, and I feel like how the renovation's coming along.
Good, man. They got in and out in like 2 months. So I closed on it in March, and it's May. So I moved in like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Did kind of like not a full, but did a little TLC to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's I love that west side of Fort Worth. I love Fort Worth in general. I mean, I could say so much about it. But I do think it's the biggest hidden gem in Texas.
Oh, sure.
So many good things happening, so many good people, and lots more to come, I feel like, as far as growth of the city.
So I kind of want to talk about a couple of different. I want to talk to our clients, people that are looking to buy, and also want to talk about agents, because I think, you know, I've talked before about, you know, scheduling. You've seen I feel like you and I are similar in a lot of ways. I've done it a little bit longer, but you've scaled your business up fairly quickly, you know, doing big numbers, serving a lot of people. So kind of walk me through that. How did you kind of progress to where you're at now? I mean, every agent that's new wants to know that. How do you grow your business to the levels that you're at now and maintain it? Yeah. You know, for the longest time, whenever someone would ask me that question, I would just be like, I don't know how I monetized it. And I started to be like, well, no, I did something. Like, at least I'm doing something right. Yeah.
And so whenever whenever I looked back on it and just my business over the last 3 years, I just know whenever I first started, and I could give, like, I'm an open book. I would give full practicals of everything. For me, though, like, I think the biggest changing factor for me in my business was it's all mindset. And, like, these lies I was believing that I'm not worthy of being a business person. And I'm not worthy of being a good real estate agent and helping someone in such a big life moment. Like, those were the lies that I had to overcome. And then just the mindset shift of, like, hey, either this is going to freaking work out or I'm going to die trying. Like, that's plan B. I'm going to die trying. But plan A is this is going to work out.
Are you a competitively driven person?
Yeah, totally. I probably have made enemies on the volleyball courts. Outside volleyball courts. Yeah, I find myself getting pretty competitive, and even the big level up I feel like from changing my previous brokerage to where I'm at now, league, was I'm ready to be in a room that is like full of winners. Like, I don't want to say winners, but it's full of
like-minded
next
peers.
level. Yeah. Like next level people who are ahead of me. And I love that competitiveness of that. But yeah, man, I'd say for me, like, if it's on the practical side, I call it the real estate stuff. So I did the real estate stuff, and I'm saying I did a lot of it. So when I first started out, just messaged literally every human being I knew, every single Facebook and Instagram, everyone friend on Facebook and person who followed me on Instagram. Just like, oh my God, yes. Yeah, I probably lost like 500 followers. But copy and paste the message, say, hey, I'm in real estate. I'm super excited about this next journey in my life. If you or anyone you know is ever thinking about real estate, I just love to talk to you more about it. And I try to get, their information. So I did that. I was probably doing, realistically, out of the 7-day week, I was probably doing 4 on average, 4 in-person either coffees or happy hours. It was my goal to text 10 people every single day. I'm not the biggest cold caller. For me, it just feels bad. I've done one cold call my whole life, and the guy lied to me and said that his plumber was at the front door, and I for sure know he lied to me. But for me, it's more of just social media, creative marketing, and kind of still communicating at some point.
Yeah, and I think, for a long time, just in my own personal business, before I started doing a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, I always kind of wanted to be a silent assassin. I didn't want people to know what I'm doing, but that's just the total opposite mindset you have to have. And obviously, you were in ministry. I think part of it's you want to have humility in what you're doing too. So it's a hard line to balance, right? You don't want to just be posting just sold. And like you're rubbing it in, but I think you do a really good job of throwing some cool creative stuff out there and giving people content that they want to see, right?
Dude, yes. And you know what? I would say outside the reels, but I was going to get to that, like outside of the real estate stuff of like phone calls, text messages, pop, all of that, the Brian Buffini stuff.
Yeah.
Outside of that's was my biggest thing was social media, but specifically in social media. And I realized this whenever I was a youth pastor. Now this stuff made me super excited. But I realized this stuff after whenever I was a youth pastor. But when I was like mentoring these kids or, just trying to help these kids walk through life and their faith, one thing I realized that kind of, I guess, bought them into their serving of the church more was feeling celebrated. Everybody loves attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we seek so much. I'm an Enneagram 3, and I seek attention and affirmation from any human being, and I love it.
I'm never taking stats.
Don't do it because it gives you a little too in depth of yourself. But I love like the attention and affirmation, and like, yeah, I guess it would just be that. So, and being celebrated. So I realized for the youth. So then I transported into my business, and I'm like, I'm just gonna post about other people. Like if I'm having coffee or happy, if I'm doing anything with people, I'm just gonna post about them and like hype them up. And then I started like finally closing deals, and I told myself, okay, I'm gonna start telling a story. Because for every seller, there's a story behind the house. For every buyer, there's a story behind, hey, we saved up for years for this, or hey, this has been a goal for us since we got married.
Yep.
There's a story, and when you push the story out there, the best part is one, like they feel so loved and celebrated and cared for. If they repost it on the practical side, now their friends see, and anyone who follows, like anyone on social media and anyone who ever sees content like that is like, oh man, this guy like seemingly actually cares about people. And I think that to find out if that's a true statement or not of somebody is when you see it consistently over time.
Yeah.
And so for even like you and your business, I'm sure why you get so many referrals is because you actually genuinely care about people, and you actually treat them right.
And I think you and I are very similar. Like you probably deal with a lot of people that you end up being friends with, even if they're not like this. We have client appreciation. Like, most of the people I've worked with are now pretty good friends of mine.
Yeah, and like you see them outside, like you see them at TCU football game where you invite them to a tailgate. And to me, to be honest with you, that's the cherry on top of a transaction, is building a personal relationship and connection with your buyers or sellers after you help them along the house hunt journey or the house selling journey. I think that's the biggest win of it all. Is like, oh, this person cares about me so much. I like this person. I want them to be in my life outside of a professional setting.
Yeah.
And clip that.
No, I think it's a lot easier for people like us. Like our personalities tend to go well with we're natural relationship building type people, right? Mm-hmm. We can go in, you and I didn't know each other very well, and we connected, talk. It's not
instantly.
You don't feel awkward going and meeting somebody new and just diving into a conversation. Mm-hmm. So what kind of advice would you give other agents that aren't natural, just social people, but they have all the skills? Like I know quite a few agents that are really great agents, but they're much more introverted, and it takes a lot of work for them to get out and do what we do.
Yeah. And that's the tough part of like the tough part, but the beauty of real estate is it can work in 1,000 different ways for 1,000 different people. There can be people like you and myself, and then there can be the people who just kind of love doing the calls. I don't know if you do cold calls or not, but like there's people who love doing the cold calls and hate being in person. Like my first broker I worked for, Knob and Key, they're in Dallas. Like she never went to the closings. They close a crap ton of business. Then for me, I'm like, oh, I love going to the closings. There's just so many different personality types. For the personality type that I would say would maybe be a little bit more reserved and shy, I don't know if there is this like, on the practical side, my thought goes to like a big value add is being the ultimate connector, and you're so good at this, and you inspire me in this. Being a connector of people builds relationships deeper than anything else.
Yeah.
Because relationships are what matter most in life. And so being a connector of people you don't have to be the center of attention, which I admire that because I sadly long to be the center of attention in a lot of rooms. But being the connector of people, if you're more reserved, you got, hey, I know this person. Hey, it'd be great if you met this person. If it's during client events, boom. I think that connection can turn into more business. And then outside of that, I don't know if there's like on the that's the practical side. The other side is at some point in real estate and anything worth being like, I think anything worth having and keeping, like a successful real estate career, is going to take being uncomfortable. And you're going to have to like either make the phone calls or you're going to have to figure out how to communicate in person with people and be, you know.
For me, it's the uncomfortable part was starting to get in front of video and putting content out. Like, but seeing like you've really, that's a big piece of your business. And it's a great piece of your business. And I tell my agents all the time, like, it's the easiest thing to do to get, like, for the introvert, I think that's an easy way for them to get started, right? And people get so nervous about how they're going to look on camera or what they're going to say. And I'm like, there's a bunch of 18-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids who do stupid stuff on TikTok every day. Like, if somebody doesn't like it, they'll just swap off. But at least you're getting comfortable getting back out there and letting people know. And one thing you said earlier that I really like is you messaged every single person you knew.
Yeah.
Like, when you got into real estate, you had no hesitation. You didn't care what they thought.
Zero.
So a lot of people don't like that. They're like, I don't want to bug people. I don't want to. They think it's like if you were going to sell, not a knock on it, but if you were going to sell Advocare, you know, like back when people were doing all those multi-level marketing schemes, you know.
Yes, and I think with that, it was just my mindset was like, I heard this quote, and I. It's one of those quotes that you just pretty much reverse the sentence, and it is the same, and it just like is a powerful quote, but it's like, those who care don't matter, and those who matter don't care. And I think what that means to me is like, if I'm going to reach out to everybody, and if they care and they're like, oh, why are you doing this? Or, oh, you're like, I don't think you should do real estate. Like, they don't matter to me.
Yeah.
But the people who matter to me and the friendships I want to keep, like, they don't care what I'm doing. They're going to support me and want to be friends with me regardless.
Whenever I first got into it, I sent an email. Like, I used MailChimp. I didn't have an Instagram then.
Yeah.
I sent a MailChimp, like, email to everybody I knew. And, like, one of the guys unsubscribed, like, instantly.
30 seconds. So, like, how'd you even
I texted him. One of my friends was like, dude, I'm not going to buy a house. And he ended up being the very first friend of mine.
To buy it?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that is...
Like, I was like, yeah, come on back. Come on back to
the dang MailChimp. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's... Real estate has so many funny stories. I love that. Yeah.
So you started in 2020. Mm-hmm. You've kind of ridden the wave of craziness. Now kind of back in a more normalized market, which you haven't really, this is your first time to really be in a normal top market. How's it been managing the change in business with the environment? Like, how has it looked different in the past 2 years for you?
Yeah. And that's because when I started, I guess I had January, February, March, 3 months of a normal market. Don't really, like, I remember my first listing I got in February. It was in January. We closed in February, but I mean, it sat on the market for 14 days, and we got one offer from a cash investor, and it was like 10,000 low, and my seller was super happy with that. And then you literally, fast forward 365 days, and there's no way in God's green earth are you sitting any offer, accepting any offer under asking. So I again, to your point, is a great point. I'm still trying to navigate the market right now. Like, for me, it's new to put in offers under asking, or it's new listings.
Most of the people you're working with right now are kind of in your peer group, like first-time homes, second homes. Type.
A lot are, I'd say. I mean, this year I know
you work with a lot of people, but
this year I've had a lot. Like, last year I think it was probably 90-10 buyers to sellers. This year it's been probably 60-40 buyers to sellers. I've had a good amount of listings. And those are people who are, second time, I guess, home buyers. But for the first time home buyer, which is predominantly my clientele, or people who I probably appeal to the most. I mean, it's something that I'm telling them, like, hey, there's no one-way track in real estate. And you'll see a house with multiple offers, and then a house in the same street sit for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what is this? Because it's listed too high. And I always say, hey, it could be a couple different things. One, it could be listed too high. Two, there could be some like problems that we don't know behind the scenes with the house, like functionally, plumbing issues, $30,000 worth of plumbing issues that I'm dealing with right now. Or it could be like the timeline for the sellers. And so there's no one-way track, and I try to prep people with that. So I tell people every single transaction and everyone's journey is different. You can go on one set of showings, find the house, boom, close on it, love on it. The most amount of offers I put in with somebody was 22.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very sad. It was very sad for me and very sad for them. 22 offers. And I'm like, hey, but they found the one they love,
Yep.
and they're so happy. So that's how I'm prepping people in this market right now. For me, I'm leaning on people who have been doing it like yourself. I'm leaning on people who have been doing it a little bit longer than I have. The agents at the brokerage I'm at are great with just giving advice of situations that I maybe haven't been in before. In a market, that's new. I think hot take, voice crack, hot take. I think the DFW market's going to be like this forever. Genuinely, that there's going to be a lot of multiple offer situations. I think for the foreseeable future.
Well, inventory is not catching up at all.
Completely, and it's gonna and with the amount of people moving here, Fort Worth was like top 10 most moved to cities in America last year. With the amount of influx of people moving here, the inventory just will have such a hard time catching up. Even if every single day there were 100 houses that got listed in Fort Worth,
I'm really interested to see, just kind of on that note, like if you heard of Carbis, the new community out in Crowley
down south. Yeah.
Like I think that's going to explode because they're like $350.
Yeah, so hard to get something at that price point.
$350 new construction like that. I think that Chisholm Trail Parkway is finally going to really take off.
Stuff's going to start getting popped up. Yeah, that Crowley. I'm telling people like, hey, if you want an approachable price point, you're going to probably have to get, let's just say just like downtown, probably at least 15 plus minutes from downtown. And if you're looking southwest, you go to Crowley, Burleson, like that Wedgwood, southwest Fort Worth area. You go north, you're going to have to go to like that North Virginia Hills, HEB areas,
expensive.
which that's getting tough because you have Fort Worth, Keller, and everything in between is just about to start blending into that price point. So yeah, it's definitely just, I think if you're an agent, speaking to agents, if you're an agent and in the DFW area, the biggest pro that you can have as a value add to your clients is setting expectations and managing expectations. I think that doing that up front, and you have to know your stuff and be the market expert wherever you're at, but you have to know your stuff, and managing that up front, I think leads to, regardless of if it takes one offer or it takes 40 offers, leads to a great home buying experience for your clients. And I think that's the biggest value add that you can add to your people.
Absolutely. So we kind of talked about how you're navigating the market. What trends are you kind of seeing in the market right now? Like just with the last couple of weeks, when you make a last month or so, because I know for me, it was obviously rates. I don't know if you saw, they've gone back up over 7.
Yeah.
So
this week has been crazy.
Like it was, this last month was crazy busy.
Yeah.
And then you see slowdowns with these rates. So how much are you getting from your clients pushback on, the common trends we're getting and objections are, I'm worried about interest rates, worried about market crashes. So how are you navigating that with your clients, especially you're right there in that first time homebuyer category? Right?
They have no experience. They don't know what they don't know.
And we can't tell the future.
Yeah, that's what I wish I could. I think I would first kind of say, whenever it's tense in the economy and in the market, the last thing I want to be personally is salesy. So even the phrase like mirror the house and date the rate,
No, that's so cheesy.
I think that's cheesy, and I think it's stupid, and I think it's a lie. Like it's just a way to, if there's an agent that's telling you now's the perfect time to buy, like you're going to get a great deal on a good house, like I just don't think I don't think that that's true in every situation. Like you're doing it injustice. Sure. Yeah, you could in some situations. So I mean, what I'm seeing right now is if you're a seller, what's going to get you the biggest bang for your buck is, one, I mean, location you can't change, but what you can control is controlling what you can control. If you're a seller, control what you can control. And that's the finish outs of your house. If there's any of the big 5, plumbing, electric, foundation, electrical, and roof, if there's any big problems with those, you want to get those taken care of before you list. And you want to do some type of updating, even if it's just painting the house on the interior, painting and patching up any cracks, or painting the cabinets. Give yourself a light facelift. Those houses are selling just about every.
That's such great advice right now, because so many people, going on listing appointments right now, there's a lot of people that saw the past few years where people could just throw something on the market and would sell. And now they do not, it's really hard to swallow that pill. Like, man, we were a year too late, 6 months too late, but spending that extra 10 or 15 grand may not even be that much, right?
Yeah.
Can change the difference of 3 months and a weekend.
It's 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what you tell those people is like, hey, well, yeah, you could have sold your house last year for maybe you have multiple offers, but hey, you still have the equity.
Yeah.
And hey, you still have the money. Like, you still have a great investment on your hands. If you bought at any point, I mean, man, I'm selling houses from 2021 right now. And it's like, this is crazy. 2 years and you're going to make
60 grand.
You're going to make like a 50%, 40% return. You can't find that anywhere. Stock market, nowhere. Like, you're real estate investing. So, I would say if you're a seller, that's the biggest advice I give. If you're a buyer, the advice that I would give to you is if you feel nervous and if you feel nervous and anxious about it, like, welcome to the club. That is a real feeling, and it's a valid feeling. This sounds salesy to get a real estate agent, but you just want to have somebody who can help ease that through great expectations, and that's a great real estate agent like Brady Bridges. And so I think that at the end of the day, if you're buying a house right now, when's the right time for you is when it's right for you. And that sounds very cheesy, but the right time for you is when it makes sense for you. If you can afford the house and the payment, you're going to be in a good situation next year when you're really comfortable with a great house and the payment is $400 less.
Yeah, and I think,
refinance.
I think people sometimes, we get real estate agents sometimes get a bad rep because there are agents who all they want to do is push and sell, and they don't really care or take the fiduciary duties that you're supposed to have with your client to heart. Yep. So I think that's really good. Kind of what this year with our firm, I've kind of got like a theme word, and it's impact, which I know like y'all is what Ready to Serve, y'all's little.
Yeah. So
I think you have to go into anything you do on our end with our clients with that kind of mindset, because one, I think you do a really good job of telling the stories, but it's something really important, and we have the opportunity to either give that person a great experience, or a terrible experience.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's some crazy percent that like the it's a high is over 50% of who buy a house don't use their agent the next time. And it's like, you want to create a crazy memorable experience for people. You can do that through, in my opinion, like great gift giving and being like a great
bringing a mini horse to
closing. I brought a mini horse to closing. I'll send you all the pictures of that so you can maybe clip it up. But I brought a mini horse to closing, and dude, I mean, I hear about it every time I go into that title company and when I run into any random agent. And it's like, you can only do that for a specific kind of buyer. I'm not doing that for like a $1 million house buyer, but I will do it for a first-time home buyer that is a single guy. So it's like creating like...
Well, it's because you've got to know your client.
Well, and that's the part too, is like, I feel comfortable saying, hey, I'm going to bring Tony, the closing pony, to this...
Tony, the closing.
To this closing, and this buyer's about to like geek out and go crazy, and I'll post it everywhere, and everyone's going to see it, and then they're going to look at me as stinking the pony closer. But I think you just want to create a memorable experience for people. It's through that, but it's also, more importantly, is deep impacts, just on a deeper level of getting to know your people, remembering what they say. Like something I do, this is for agents, something I do is along the whole process of showings or meeting with people, I am very aware of, I try to be hyper aware of everything with buyers. One, what they say. Two, what they wear. If it's like the pair of shoes, I'll ask people, hey, are those Tacovas? And if they're like, yeah, I love this brand.
Yes, I see you giving boots away all the time.
It's like I try to be very aware of that, but giving intentional gifts.
I am not that detail oriented. Like, I'm like, it's not me.
Well, you crush more than me, and it's like you have your thing, I have my thing, and I think that's what, again, goes back to the beauty of real estate, is you can be successful in a bunch of different ways. And I mean, I love the word impact. I think for me, my word this year is build. I am in my third year. I'm still trying to start getting more referrals. I'm still trying to work on that, but I'm wanting to build. I wanted to build a business worth.
Well, you're at a scaling a good scaling point. Like that's where you're at, because you and I have talked before about just like keeping up with past clients. Like as you start getting more and more, it's harder to keep up. And like you're there. You're at the point where you have an opportunity to really kind of scale up, and bring, if you wanted to, you could bring more people in within your own business to help grow that and give the same experience to more people.
And that's what I'm starting to do. I just realized with the real estate market, again, another point for agents is like where the market for agents is moving is teams and groups. And one, you don't get burnt out as an agent. I mean, I've been doing
that's the biggest thing to me is
I've been doing it for 3 years. Last year, man, I wanted to quit, like straight up. At the end of last year, which was finishing my third full year, I was wanting to quit. I didn't have a day off. I didn't know the last time I've been on vacation. Every vacation I went on, I was answering phone calls.
You're never on vacation.
I'm never on vacation. Also, pro tip, one time I listed a house. This is like mid heat of the market. Listed a house. We had 30 offers. I went to California for a bachelor party. We had 30 offers. Dude, I hated that trip. I barely remember my friend getting engaged.
And
that's just so many.
That's easy though. 30 offers, it's sold. Your client's gonna be happy.
Yeah, that's the best part. But for me personally, I was like, dude, I can't breathe right now. My phone's blowing up. Like, well, I'm trying to sit and tan.
I'm sure they were like, I'll pour you with
round though. I don't know where they were. But anyways, yeah, like I think for me, just wanting to quit was a real thing. And I think the team thing has helped me. I now have somebody who writes all my contracts. I haven't written a contract once this year in 2023. Saved my life. And I'm bringing on other agents to help with showings, other agents to help with support. And the biggest part about that, and you know this more than I do, is it's more value to your client.
Well, yeah, because you're going to be really good at certain things, and they're better at it. That I think it's really hard, especially, you came from a service industry background.
Yep.
So you I'm sure you want to keep control and make sure the experience is the same all the way through. And that's a hard thing to give up. And if you do it the right ways and put the systems in place to scale and grow, nothing falls off.
Yeah.
It's all about building the team around you.
It's all better. It all ends up being better. And I think that's like, and you're experiencing that as Reside's growing so much and it's growing at a healthy pace, and you've got badass agents. Like, they're awesome people to work with you. And that's, a testament to you of like doing it right. You don't want to just start a team and jump on a team that like is big and does a lot of volume. There's a lot of cons with that.
Well, and I think like Matt and those guys are good. I think the places that are going to be most successful, you're seeing a big shift to me back to independence.
Yes.
You have to care about your people. Like, it has to be more than just like I'm churning agents coming in. Like, I care genuinely about trying to help every single person that's here grow. Like, you have to care.
Yeah.
Same thing with your clients. You have to care. People see through it. There's too many options right now there's a million agents.
Yeah. How many in DFW? There's like,
wasn't it like 15,000, or it was more than that, wasn't it?
Oh, it was like 65,000 agents in DFW alone.
It's insane to me.
And
was that producing agents, like no the deal, or just in general?
I think that's like have sold a deal. There's probably more that haven't. But I mean, there's a stat that I think it's like 70-ish% of agents don't renew their license after 2 years.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds, I completely, I've known people on Instagram who fall off.
And, one of the things that when I had Matt in here that was really good, and I totally agree with, he's like, it's about finding your fraternity, finding your group of people that's going to help you grow, because real estate by yourself is a really lonely place. It can be
a hard place.
It can be very profitable. It can be a great business if you work hard like you did getting going. But if you don't find a way to set your life up where you can actually have one, especially like you're a young guy, you're not married yet. Like once you get those kind of things in your life, well, priorities shift, right? So you have to focus on your family and your clients, and you have to find ways to take a break every once in a while.
Yeah, I agree, and that's those were the thoughts I was having. Is yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to make a youth pastor salary, which let me tell you is not much as a smaller church. I thought I was going to make that my whole life. Then you get in real estate and you're like, whoa. But you come to the point of what everyone says, like the grass is always greener. It doesn't fulfill you. Mm-hmm. So you can make a lot of money. You can do a lot of things. But man, like at what cost is what I sort of...
Do you listen to Gary Vee at all?
Yeah.
Like he's pretty good at mindset shifting. Like,
yes, he's great. I really love, like, is an agent out in California. His name's Kevin Sturdbant.
man, heard him.
Probably my number one role model real estate agent. But he's big on mindset. Like, he was someone who just for the last bit has really inspired me to be like, what lies am I believing in my head about my business? I mean, one right now for me is jumping into a higher price point. Man, I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm not worthy, or I don't know anybody who's buying up in the higher $1 million+ price point, or even like 750 plus. What lie am I believing that I'm not worthy? And why do I believe that? And I think that's the stuff of, like, practical real estate's great. I think even more so internal mindset shifting. I'm trying to debunk those lies in my head and replace them with truth of, nah, like, I can do this. And nah, man, I'm like, I can meet these people and I can get this done. And I think that mindset shift is what elevates people like yourself who are in that top 1% of the 1%.
Well, you have to actually think about it. Yeah.
And
Because you get in such a routine, right? Like, I find myself sometimes, like kids' activities, like a dance recital, right? It's not an ideal thing for a dad to have to sit at a dance recital after your daughter's danced and watched like everybody else, but then taking the mindset, like, I'm blessed that I'm able to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I think that kills most real estate agents' careers and taking the mindset too, like, we make a lot of phone calls, mostly it's online leads, people coming in. You've got to take the mindset that you're not calling bothering these people, you're calling, they've signed up and they're looking at houses, and we're calling to help them have a better experience than if they'd gone forward with us.
Yeah. And that right there is like, that's for the motivation to do the phone call. And I think when you have that internal mindset, the phone call goes better, dude.
Well, yeah, because you're going to help them. That's what
Instead of trying to, like, dude, I remember one time this one lender called me, and what did he say? He was like, hey, this person, wherever, spam risk number. And I was like, hey, man, I'm good. And he goes, why be good when you can be great? And I was like, kind of good. But also, no way, man. The whole point is, like, that's a salesy phone call. And it's just, I feel that energy as the buyers do, people looking for a house from whenever you guys call. And I think that it goes back to that mindset. Like, what's your mindset going into a listing appointment? What's your mindset going into, like, a showing or interactions with a client or a happy hour or event? What's your mind? Are you feeling insecure?
Or I just picture you in your car, like, every single time you're going there, okay.
Yeah.
Like, hyping yourself up.
You know what I listen to? I listen to Take Me Home Country Road by one. I listen to it on just about every single closing.
That's gonna be solid behind your clip whenever.
Please throw it on there. Yeah. And we can get the pony that I brought to the closing. But yeah, I mean, it's all a mindset thing. Like, I've walked into listing appointments that I've lost, and it's been because I walked in, like, not knowing a game plan, because I didn't think I should be there in the first place. And that's a lie. Like, I whenever I feel like I'm in a healthy spot, I genuinely believe, like, I am, it sounds cocky, but, like, I'm the best agent in DFW is what I try to believe. Second best. You kind
of have to, you have to be totally confident in your skills. Like, if you look at anybody that's doing anything at a high level, they're confident in themselves. I mean,
yes. And you feel that too. And so that's where, like, whenever I feel like I'm operating in a healthy place of believing in myself and knowing the vision for my life and the dreams that I have in the next year, 3 to 5 years, whenever I'm dialed in with that.
Man, I'm so excited for you, because the conversations we had on the phone like 6 months ago when you were talking, like,
so different, right?
You have such a clear vision of where you're going, and I love that,
dude. And you've been and I'm being for real, man. Like, I hope this is encouraging. You've been the biggest value add to me in that, of pushing me to do, like, to start a team and bring help around me. And I think ultimately you're pushing me to build a healthy business. Where I was getting for a long time is, and even on the way over here, I was kind of just thinking about myself, and I'm like, where am I at in real estate right now? And I quit a lot of stuff to sports, and it's like, man, how do I relate? Who do I relate with in this? And I think that there's stars, and you look at, like, not trashing on it, but like a Carmelo Anthony, or Russell Westbrook. They both never have won championships, but they're great players.
Yeah,
and you really see them shine. But people like LeBron James or Kobe, they're stars when they come into the NBA. But what you see they do is they take on the role of leadership, and they step into building an actual team and building chemistry And that's what I want to, you're doing that right now and you're continuing to, that's what I want to step into is like, I feel like that star player and that kind of, like if it's Luka Doncic, I feel like that now I want to build a great team around me. And yeah, man, like go out and just win at the end of the day.
Well, you'll find your satisfaction. It goes from when you are securing these deals for your clients, where your team is doing that, and you're seeing them win and your clients win at the same time. Like it's a good feeling.
It's a double.
It was a very hard shift for me because I like to do it all.
Yeah,
but then you're also impacting other people's lives by building careers, helping them grow. It's cool.
I'm sure that's the most rewarding part is like people who are working for you.
You naturally you've got to teach more, right? You're teaching more. If you were in that background at a church, like that's going to be a natural fit for you as you have people pour into them, help them grow.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it.
So quick tips here. Give me your best piece of advice. Like you already gave me one for sellers. Just these are going to kind of be your highlight reels here. So
cool.
Like top 3 things you would tell people coming into the DFW market right now to buy a house.
Okay. Man, I think outside of like finding someone who really can support you and help your dreams come true, as far as a professional on like a mortgage lending side or a real estate agent side, I think one, know what you want and know that you don't have to settle for that right now. The last 2 years, people have had to settle on houses and settle on where they land because they just couldn't find anything. You don't have to settle right now. If your timeline's a little tight, feel the freedom to like renew a lease or feel the freedom to go month to month and wait until this market starts to pick up more wait till this market starts to pick up more and you're going to get the home that you want. I may not go with 3 tips, but I'll go with a couple, but just like anyone coming to buy in the area, know what you want, know where you want to be. And I mean, I think just, I guess it would be a goal. Find someone who's really going to support you and your goals. If it's a lender, making sure that you can get pre-approved for X amount, but what do you really want to stay within? Mm-hmm. You're not paying the sales price of the home, you're paying the monthly payments. Like that's the number you want the most. And so get with somebody who's not going to try to be salesy and not try to be up you. And then for real estate agents, just get with somebody who understands you and knows you. I feel like that's the biggest thing buyers need right now.
That's great.
I'd say.
So for real estate agents getting into this market, brand new agents, what is the best tip you can give them?
Okay. I mean, this phrase just comes to my mind and it's kind of like a life phrase, but for any agent, if you do something, something's going to happen. And what I mean by that is just like try and keep trying, and you're going to get knocked down. And I am helping agents who have had their license for less than a year now and seeing this and the discouragement, and I felt it, and maybe you have too.
Oh, yeah.
It's a discouraging industry. It's not fair at some points. And it just sucks. And you have to embrace that. But if you do something, something will happen. Set whatever goal it is. Call X amount of people a day. Make X amount of touch points a day. I think now social media in this age it's probably the biggest thing for my business. I unfortunately haven't sent out the postcards every single month or emails. I just got my CRM ready this year in January. And that was after closing X amount of deals. And I'm like, I'm losing on so much business for a year. So social media, I think if you're a new agent, is a great free tool that you can use to really expand your business. It's free marketing.
Well, it gives you the perception of being a market expert. Even if you're not quite there yet, I tell my team that it gets people to look at you in a different light than maybe your previous careers or your past.
And that's a great thought. Yes. And I agree with that, because you start to be consistent with it and they're like, oh man, this person's showing really cool houses, or this.
You start closing deals like, hey, he's doing business.
And that's whenever the confidence.
Okay, I want to use him.
That's when the confidence comes. And so, yes, I think if you're a real estate agent, wherever you live, if it's Fort Worth, if it's Dallas, if it's Frisco, if it's Southlake, if it's Midlothian, you want to be the market expert. The market expert you almost want to be like the mayor of a town.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor knows everything.
A lot of Tom Berry in there.
There is, you like that? But the mayor knows everything. They know the restaurants. They know what's happening in the city. They know the people in the city. They know where the city's going. They know the history of the city. For me in Fort Worth, I have people reach out all the time now, and they say, "Hey, what's a great spot? What's the best coffee shop in Fort Worth?"
Yeah, you're getting stuff to you that's not related to real estate.
Yeah,
you're getting the relationship.
But you don't do it. Boom, that.
Yep.
Boom, I'm answering. Hey, here's this. Here's also the 3 best shops. If I'm at a bar or something and I post a picture of it, ooh, where's that? Oh, this is where it's at. One of my favorite speakeasies is right here down the corner. Blah, 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 blah. You're responding to them and you're building that rapport. I'm not talking about real estate with people, and typically until they bring it up, or if they comment on on like a story that I post of a house, I'll make a slight little comment like,
and it's a natural organic lead.
See, that's the thing, man, is it's like and this comes from the mindset of, I'm not going to be salesy. I'm going to be genuine.
Well, there's some intention, right? You want people to reach out to you, but that's not the only intention you have when you're posting it up, right? So
it's like, and I just want to like,
people can see through that. Like,
yes,
you're just trying to post to get a sense.
They feel it.
Yeah.
Yes, you can feel it, and it is with interactions. And I've done it too before, where I like only talk about real estate. And dude, I don't think those people follow me anymore. It's like that. I understand that part of it, but yeah, I think just if you're an agent, become the market expert. That doesn't mean just touring all the listings that are other people's listings in the area, which I'm also a fan of that. Like, do whatever you have to do to make the perception reality. But yeah, don't just tour houses. Highlight cities, highlight the history. Not cities, highlight like restaurants, coffee shop, bars, highlight the history, highlight people, all of that.
Actually, if you what the hell's going on in the area.
Yeah, know about it. Yeah, I mean, Tom Ferry talks a lot about not just doing Instagram and TikTok, but Google, like leaving reviews or posting pictures and building that there's just so much.
My world.
Yeah, you're a Google SEO king here, and I think you're one of the only people who do it. And I mean, you've seen the success of it. Wait till those little sharks start freaking coming behind.
Come on, there's a lot of business here.
Oh man, and
that's what I love about, like,
dude. Yeah,
I had no problem talking to the agents here. Like, Fort Worth's a big city. We all work with so many different people. It's a great spot. And there's so many good brokerages here and good agents. And
I love that about you is like, yeah, this podcast, like you're interviewing agents who are what other agents would see as is like your competition. But it's like, for me and you, I'm like, we're friends and we're both going to close a hell of a lot of business. And I know that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might cross paths with people, clients, but it's like, whatever.
For me, one of the best things we can do is, like, you and I are going to be the opposite side of deals. Like, if we know each other, then we know our clients. Like, it makes it a whole lot easier dealing in negotiations to make it a better experience for them. So that's one of the main reasons I've been bringing other agents on as well, is to help consumers, agents, and it helps with our deals going forward.
I think that's a beautiful point. And if I could go back to tips for buyers coming into this market right now in DFW, is find an agent who is highly respected in the market that you want to be in. You've probably won a lot of offers because you've worked, either they're agents you've worked with before and had a good experience with, or these agents have heard of your podcast, have seen you on social media. They know
communication. Like, if I send you an offer, like, you can call and get a hold of me.
Yes.
It's going to be a whole lot easier to get something done for your client. Because I know there's so many times, like in those 30 offer situations, where people that send offers can never call and ask a question.
Yeah, you never even see them, where it's just an email. Yeah.
And then you have some site, like, you'll have 3 or 4 agents to call and they're asking questions. How can we do this?
That's who you want to pick.
Those are the people that your clients want you to use, because they feel like they're going to be passed off to somebody that's not going to close.
Yeah. An agent I love here in the area, and I've closed probably 4 or 5 deals with her, is Patty Williamson.
Yeah, she's super nice.
She's incredible. And her and I built, she's got a great
business too.
She does. And her and I built a great repertoire, whatever you call it, a great relationship where if I call her, she'll answer, and she'll give maybe some information to me that will be very valuable to help best serve my clients if they want to put an offer in. And so I think that, yes, that would be a tip, is be around or get an agent who is highly respected.
Players, man.
Yes, it is highly respected and knows the players in the game that you're about to jump into.
Well, Christian, last question I ask everybody: what do you love about Fort Worth?
Fort Worth is a big city, small town. big city, small town. It feels, I mean, the 12th biggest city in America, past San Francisco and in population.
Way better.
So there's a million times better than San Francisco. No trash on San Francisco, but Fort Worth is better. Big city, but man, you can go into the Central Market, or you can go into a coffee shop, and you're like, "Oh, hey, man, I see you all the time," or "Oh, hey, I remember, you remember me, or I remember you." And I think that there is this Southern, I don't want to say gentleness, but there is this Southern relationship that builds here in Fort Worth, and it just feels, you're gonna get in a big city, you're gonna get people who are just absolute, jerks, but it feels genuine.
Every single person says some different version of that same thing.
Oh yeah, I bet. I mean, dude, yeah, it really is. I feel like that is what separates it. Like, I'll go to Dallas. I was just in Dallas an hour ago, and I mean, man, just working with agents in Dallas is completely different. And then I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just completely different fee.
It's much more transactional.
It's very transactional, and it's very like corporate. Where here, I feel like Fort Worth is very community driven.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, a phrase I always say is like community over corporate. And I think that is how I live my life, and I want to do my business. Is I'm not going to treat this like a hierarchy, and I don't want to treat people like that too. But yeah, I'll just regurgitate what you should clip that up. You should clip everyone's answer and then just
it's the same. Well, Christian, thanks so much for coming in. If anybody wants to get a hold of you with more questions, how can they reach you?
I would say the biggest is Instagram. Give me a follow on Instagram. I'm on there all the time. I'll respond very quickly to you. My @ is @Christian B as in boy, Christian B Fussell. You can have me on Facebook too if you want. Don't follow me on TikTok. It's just my personal cooking page.
Really?
So yeah, I've been trying to make it more just personal cooking and my favorite things to do.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Well, Christian, thanks so much again. It was a pleasure having you in. This was another episode of Real Talk with Reside. If we can be a resource in any way, please let us know.